What is up, guys? My name is Ryan here. Welcome back, and today we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 top 8 most hated monsters to ever, not ever to appear. I mean, it's good for them to appear, but ever to fight them in the Monster Hunter series game. So these are my opinions. These are actually the list of monsters that I have faced with, and the list of monsters that I really hate dealing with it, including the one with Monster Hunter XX, not including Monster Hunter World because they're still developing Monster Hunter World, so it's not there yet. When it releases, then I will only talk about the Monster Hunter World, the monsters, how you could deal with and stuff like that, and which monsters I hate. Now, before we continue as well, I like to say I have one more week or 2 more weeks till my work is over. Then I can actually come back to you guys and then continue doing more videos. However, this video is just to make you guys feel accompanied, feel more like oh, I'm still around. I kind of like a reminder, something like that. So today it's gonna be interesting because we have top 8 most hated monsters we could. For us Monster Hunter fans, we fight them. We really hate fighting them sometimes because they're super annoying. So let's start off with our first monster, top 8. Now, number 8, Deviljho. Now, a lot of you guys might be wondering, Deviljho isn't that hard unless you're playing on the subspecies Deviljho. Now, to me fighting against Deviljho is super difficult because Deviljho is its movements can be predictable sometimes, but not only that, its attack is so ferocious that sometimes you tend to make a lot of mistakes when you're dealing with Deviljho, because Deviljho can sometimes ruin you, like destroy you and wreck you badly. But I think after playing a few times, I think around 8 times after playing with Deviljho, I kind of know what moveset it has and when it's gonna strike and when it's not gonna strike. So its prediction is really good. I mean, you predicting the monster's moves is slowly you get it. You basically kind of naturally kind of get the move sets of this monster. However, the only ferocious thing about it is its mouth blast. With the mouth blast element is actually dragon. Yes, so that's actually one of the biggest problem, is that its range of attack is also another issue. When you want to heal up, sometimes his beam attack will sometimes be unpredictable. You don't know when he's going to shoot out, so it's a little bit difficult for you to heal up during the fight, so you have to be extra cautious with that part. So Deviljho is not only that. When he goes on rage mode, he not only gains speed, but he also gains ferociousness. And when he comes to the ferociousness state, you're going to get screwed real hard because this guy does not chill a lot. So you have to be extra cautious when he's on rage mode, because the moment he's on rage mode, not only does he massive damage, but his speed increases. The worst part is his speed. The speed is outrageous because most of the attacks it performs, it's like I said, it's unpredictable. Another reason is that it's more like you don't know when it's gonna happen and when the attack. Sometimes when it's supposed to do like a tail attack, sometimes it just snaps and switch over to a beam attack, so it would be like a little bit of confusion kind of thing. So that's how Deviljho is, and that's how I hate Deviljho. I hate dealing with Deviljho, but after a few rounds of playing, you probably will get the hang of it. You'll basically get the use of how he's going to move and stuff. So you definitely know what weapon you're going to use. Probably my favorite weapon is definitely using the longsword, because the longsword gives me a range of attack. Not really much of a long range, but it kind of gives me like a kind of perfect kind of range for me to attack and poke. That's what I do, and that's what I like about the longsword. The lance would be a good choice as well, because dealing with a Deviljho with a lance, it's super good. But The downside is that is the mobility. Now, when it comes to mobility, it is a problem for you against the Devil Joe. So mobility is definitely, you have to be really cautious with that. You need to know when you're going to stay guard, when you're going to move. It's super difficult when you're doing lands. But overall, when it comes to attack, when you go for advanced full-on attack, it's super useful. It's super good. Defense attack. That's the thing about lance. Guns as well. Gun lance is also the same thing, but it's also a little bit quite okay. Not to say perfect, but it's just there. It's just okay, that kind of thing. So for guns, as always, guns, you need to be really careful because you're very fragile. And not only that you're fragile, you tend to also get massive damage. I mean, fragile and massive damage are probably the same thing, but you have to know when you're supposed to move when you're using guns, because gunners, if you're a fan of guns in Monster Hunter, you have to be extra cautious because of the attacks that the enemy is going to perform. You need to know when to move, when to strike. You need to know all these things because as a gunner, you're supposed to know these things before you know anything happens. Because as a gunner, like I said, because I tested it out as a gunner before, dealing with Devil Joe, it is super difficult because he is fast when he's on rage mode. So you have to try to make him piss off, run around, poke him a little bit, run around again until he chills out. That's the only way. So onward to the next one is fucking Zinogre, my favorite monster of all time. Now Zinogre is a fun little monster to deal with, but for newbies, it is really difficult because he has 3 phases. Now phase 1 is basically his normal mode, where his spikes just doesn't spike up. He doesn't go full tense mode. He just slowly comes down, like he just analyzes you first, performs small mini attacks just to poke you and stuff like that. Now Zinogre is somehow very unique to me because he is not only that strong, but his speed, when he goes to phase 2, his speed kind of increases. His damage also kind of increases. He's a little bit ferocious when he's in phase 2 than on phase 1, because phase 1 is he's really chill. But when he comes to phase 2, he's slightly a bit tense. He tends to also become a little bit more dangerous. So that's when you have to be careful. When he's on stage 3, oh shit, you are going to be so screwed by him, because when he comes to stage 3, he is really dangerous. So the only way to cut him out, the only way to shut him down, is by hitting on the head. So your sword, when you're using great sword, long sword, or any guns or lance, you must hit his head, because if you hit his head, it kind of disrupts his electric flow in his body. Basically, you kind of disrupt his rage, and he'll go to normal mode, back to phase 1 again. So that's your main goal when you're dealing with Zinogre, is to aim at his head, because the only way, if you want to aim at his head, you get a high chance on disrupting his rage. That is what you need, because Zinogre, when he goes on rage phase 3, his moves are really tough to predict, like really tough. What I mean tough, it's way tougher than Devil Joe, because there are times that he slows down and then he just looks at you, basically analyzes you, making yourself having an opportunity to attack him. But you also have to be careful, because he has this slam, his fist slam on the ground, that creates a small little AoE attack. Not a big range, but a small little range around his fist, around his paws, and then creating some thunder, electricity. Now that part is slightly dangerous because you need to run, because he'll do 1 hit, 2 hit, and 3 hit on you, and that's where you have to be really cautious of that part, because if you get that electric effect, you're going to be so screwed because of the damage. The damage he's going to give it to you is stupendous, because the only way for you to deal is the head. The head is his weak spot, the major weak spot. So my biggest choice for you guys is true. Ice can actually do the trick, but for me, I like to use water and a little bit of a poison will do the trick as well. But ice is actually the real effective thing, because I have an ice longsword and I use it on him. Within like 10 minutes, because I use a super strong longsword, like a really enhanced, a really improved longsword against them using ice effect. Boy, did it finish the job within, like, I don't know, about 7 minutes around there. And it was so easy. It was so easy when you use ice effect, especially on long sword or great sword. My biggest suggestion is you can use great sword, but great sword, you need to be really careful on how you perform your attacks, your move sets. Now, great sword not only does great damage, but also it takes away a bit of your mobility. So the same goes to longsword. I mean, longsword has a little bit of a mobility. It's more like a balance. For longsword, it's kind of like balance with mobility and offensive. But for greatsword, it takes away your mobility. I mean, you are able to walk, but you're really slow, and you need to really depend on your dodge more than your defense and your attack. I mean, yeah, more than your defense, because you are able to block, but not many people love to use block, and they just love to dodge more often. So that's how greatsword works. For longsword has half mobility, half offense. Now, a lot of people also use their dodge as well, because longswords, you can't use longsword as a blocking. It's not a block weapon, so you can't perform a block or anything like that. However, your major way to dodge Zinogre's attack is to just roll over and dodge, or basically, best option is if you're wanting to do a full runaway, or you just want to try a dodge, like hide your weapon, like keep your weapon, sheath your weapon, run, and then attack again like that, like a first draw blow kind of thing. You can, but also at the same time you have to be really careful, because you need to run and then jump to perform a full dodge, which means 100% none of the attacks are going to go through. You need to perform that so that it'll be easy for you. But for me, since I'm actually quite strong already, so Zinogre is totally nothing to me. So that's one problem with the Zinogre. It's the speed and the ferocious, that what makes him super strong and super powerful. Now, not only some people say that this Zinogre is somehow, to me, this Zinogre is slightly difficult, but there are other subspecies Zinogre. So, but the other subspecies Zinogre are slightly easy, because if you know how to fight the normal Zinogre, the not the subspecies, but this normal Zinogre, if you know how to fight this dude, the rest of the Zinogres are quite easy to fight, except some of the Zinogres are slightly a different moveset, slightly different. The movesets are slightly different, but the damage has increased. If you know how to play and fight against Zinogre, Stygian Zinogre and other Zinogres will be easy. It's like a no big deal. Onward to the next one, Orochi Kirin. Now, Orochi Kirin is slightly a bit. I shouldn't say the word slightly, but I would say really challenging, because Orochi Kirin, its moveset is somehow almost similar to its cousin, the normal Kirin, but Orochi Kirin is somehow really annoying, because yes, at some point it's easy for you if you have really sharp blades or weapons. That way it's easy for you. But if you're using normal weapons, like on the blue bar, on the white bar, I think on the white bar you are able to take down Orochi Kirin. I'm not really sure if it's not piercing, because most of the weapons can't really deal a lot of damage on Orochi Kirin because of its armor. Its armor is super tough, so that's what makes Orochi Kirin one of the most challenging monsters to deal with. The only way to actually kind of like defeat Orochi is the horn. You have to really hit the horn a lot of times so that you can deal massive damage, because the horn is his weak spot. The tail as well is his weak spot, but a lot of players actually basically mainly focus on his horn, because the horn kind of like delivers Orochi a stumble stun, giving more opportunity for the hunters to actually go advance forward and deal more massive damage. By if you're using Great Sword, obviously you can have the opportunity to charge up your attack and then strike. Some other, like the Switchblade, have the opportunity to jab and then do a blast damage. That is also one of the opportunity ways you can do it. Others like Switchblade is also possible. You're able to do an explosive damage as well if you know how to perform a proper attack. Like you have to do, if you're doing a switch, I think a switch axe or switchblade. I don't know. If you're doing a switch axe or something like that, you have to perform like a normal attack first, just to deal a decent amount of damage, and then deal with a final blast blow, like an explosion, to kind of deal a massive damage, giving you more opportunity to basically do a stumble stun. Because if you do that, if you strike on the head using the blast, you have more opportunity to actually, on the next, when he gets up again, when Orochi just gets out from on his foot and perform his attacks again, I think about 1 minute later you can just strike again, strike its horn again. You stumble down and do the same performance, and then do the same routine until it's dead. That's what I actually like to do, and this is what I always do, because I have a very strong switch axe, and I always like to do that, so it's quite effective. So Orochi is really challenging because of its armor. When it goes to rage mode, its speed also increases, and also the damage increases. Not only the speed, but its moveset is also a bit unpredictable as well. For Xenogears attacks are actually really predictable. You just need to study how his attack performs and goes first. Then only you can go advance forward, and then you know what's gonna happen stuff. For Orochi is really annoying because most of the attacks are really unpredictable. You don't know when it's gonna run. You don't know when it's gonna do a thunder strike. You don't know, because there are 5 sets, 6 sets of thunder attacks that Orochi performs. But most of these thunder attacks are slightly unpredictable. You don't know when he's gonna perform this kind of move stats, when he's gonna perform the thunder strike effect or the thunder strike attack and stuff like that. It's sometimes Orochi can be a little bit challenging, but most of the time, after playing a couple of times, I kind of roughly know when it's gonna perform and when it's not going to, something like that. So onward to the next one, we have fucking Nargacuga. Now Nargacuga, a lot of you guys mentioned that Nargacuga is actually easy if you just know how he plays, it plays. So to me, fighting against a Nargacuga is slightly easy, but for new beginners it's a torture, it's a nightmare. When I first encountered Nargacuga, it's a total nightmare, because Nargacuga, not only does his speed really hurts you a lot, but also the damage, because the speed and the attack speed of itself is just so strong, it's so fast that is like you don't even know when it's gonna strike you or not. It's like it can strike you any second at once. So Nargacuga is like a fucking nightmare to deal with. I hate dealing Nargacuga, but for me, an experienced monster hunter, dealing with Nargacuga right now is a total no big deal, because I have already a strong weapon that could basically counter Nargacuga, but I still have to be careful because of its tail. The tail range is one of the problems as well. Tail range, you can know when it's gonna strike, but most of the time it's really difficult to dodge, because you need to perform 2 dodge backwards to avoid, or 2 dodge on the right side, or two dodge on the south, east-west kind of place location for you to dodge that side. It's really difficult for you to actually kind of dodge the tail attack. Not only that, it's wing attack as well, because its wing has blades, and also when he does his wing attacks, it's fucking disgusting. It's fucking outrageous. It's so annoying to the extent where it kind of you can kind of dodge it, but when you're dodging that attack, you have to be careful because it's gonna perform a second attack, because this attack, the wing attack, performs about, I think, one attack performed, and then you dodge once, then he performs another attack unexpectedly, so it is slightly difficult. So you're definitely gonna need to pack up a lot of potion. For me, 10 potions for normal potions, one life. I think one life powder will be an effective thing as well. If you're playing as a group, my biggest thing is that you guys out there should actually play as a group, because if you guys play as a group, it'll be a lot more easier than playing solo. Because if you play solo against a Nargacuga, it's slightly challenging. So that's one of the issues here. So onward to the next one is Hellblade Glavenus. Now, Hellblade Glavenus is like another version of Deviljho, but Hellblade Glavenus is really a really, how do I put this, fascinating, because not only is it fascinating, it is also really challenging. Now, I faced Hellblade Glavenus once, and I kind of lost because I only fought against this dude like 5 minutes, and I got murdered straight away, because I only get to play this once with my friend, and I had to go. He had the demo, I don't. So Hellblade Glavenus is a subspecies of Glavenus. Now, to me, Hellblade Glavenus is really challenging because he is tough, and not only is he tough, his way of attacking you is so deadly, to the extent where you don't even want to go near it. You don't even want to go and accept the quest and then deal with this dude. You rather go out with friends to deal with it, because dealing with a Hellblade Glavenus, you definitely can't go solo. You can go solo, but it's super challenging. It's really difficult to deal with. You need a group of at least 4 people including you, to kind of deal with Hellblade Glavenus, and you need a proper equipment to deal with Hellblade Glavenus. Now, I don't really know much about Hellblade Glavenus because I did fought with this dude, but I know its elements is definitely fire element, and also his ailments, fire blight, blast blight. Okay, I don't know about the blast blight part. I just only got one shot kill because I tried dodging. I didn't really do a lot of damage on this dude, but I got instant killed by his tail attack. That's one of the problems. So his tail attack is actually really brutal. You have to really dodge its attack. Sometimes you do his head attack. Sometimes I think I don't remember him doing a body side attack, but I think he does. I don't know. I couldn't remember that one. But his tail attack is ferocious, super deadly, and I suggest you guys should actually avoid his tail and attack his head more often. But at the same time, you also have to dodge his head attack as well, because his head attack kind of does a decent amount of damage on you. But his tail attack does superb damage, because one slice of that tail attack, you're going to deal, I think, half of your life bar is going to go down, or a big quarter of your life bar is going to go down massively. So dealing with a Hellblade Glavenus, you have to be absolutely, I think it's called Glavenus, yes. If you're dealing with this dude, I suggest you guys should actually go on with siding with a group of people challenging and working together. I think a group of people dealing with Hellblade Glavenus will be a good option. So yeah, not only that, the speed is superb, and also the damage is also superb. its ferocity, its moveset is slightly different when he goes to rage mode. So you have to be extra careful. Now I've rarely seen him go in rage mode. I rarely see people see him go in rage mode because a lot of people fail miserably until they go to the stage. Until they did 5 tries already, and I witnessed the rage mode, and it was super difficult. I see how challenging it is to deal with a Hellblade Glavness. Now after a few tries already, I see that some hunters actually kind of like, some players kind of like understood how Hellblade Glavness works, so that's where things get a little bit easier. So on with the next one, we have Tigrex. Now Tigrex, I don't know, Tigrex is easy for me right now, but it's still a little bit dangerous because Tigrex, the main focus on Tigrex is his ferocious speed. His speed is outrageous, and also the way he attacks, it's so deadly that, to the extent where every time I go and take a quest, every time I see a Tigrex on the main monster list, I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm not taking this quest at all because I hate dealing Tigrex. Because Tigrex is the worst. I really hate the Tigrex a lot because Tigrex moveset is somewhat similar to Nargacuga's moveset, but Tigrex is basically more on the running, rampanting at you and dealing with some bite attacks, some tail attacks. Most of the time it's range attack. You have to be careful because he does this his paw forward, performing a boulder attack, a tree block of boulder just coming straight at you. You have to dodge it, and the dodging part is a little bit okay because I know how to dodge that attack, but you kind of need to go a little bit far away. Now when he goes on normal mode, it's slightly okay. His speed is not that fast, but when he goes to super rage mode, things get really down. Now obviously this normal Tigrex is easy to deal with if you have proper weapons. It'll be easier to deal with, and also proper armor as well. But when he goes to rage mode is the only problem for me because I hate him when he goes to rage mode. The rage mode is just one of the problems here. So there are other subspecies about Tigrex, like Flame Tigrex, Grimclaw Tigrex, Brute Tigrex, Molten Tigrex, and others. But overall, the others are slightly difficult. But what I'm trying to say here, if you're playing it against Tigrex, this normal Tigrex, you need to play a few rounds until you get used to it. But I still hate this dude because of the speed, because of the ferocious speed. I always lose. Like I lost 20 times against this dude until 21. I finally beat him. But I just realized that my equipment was not meant for this dude, because I thought using a longsword would be a great opportunity, but the best thing is the great sword, because great sword to me is best. Using a range attack won't be a good idea. My biggest thing for you guys is use bows, piercing bows, because piercing bows is really effective against Tigrex. Because if you want a proper range, bow is a good option. Not only bow, but great sword as well, long sword as well, also possible. Long sword is also quite effective. Dual blade is not. I suggest you guys don't use dual blade, because dual blade is super difficult. Because when you're performing a combo attack, that's the part where you're gonna get yourself in trouble. So my biggest fear is, if for those of you who main dual swords, you better be careful on what you're facing with, because if you're dealing with Tigrex, dual sword can sometimes be a bit dependable. Can be a dependable equipment, but also really a bit of a disadvantage, because there are more disadvantage on the dual swords than on great swords and others. Guns is a no-no against the Tigrex. Heavy guns is also a no-no. A light gun as well is also a big no-no, except for a bow. A bow is fine because bow is more mobility and also attack. Because as a bow, you need to move while shooting at the same time, because that is quite effective. I like using bow a lot because you can run and then shoot, run again and then shoot. That's the best thing I like about bow. You can also do side steps, which is also really useful as well. So on to the next one. We have fucking Diablos. Now Diablos, I should have picked Black Diablos instead of this Diablos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go and to take maximum, yeah, Black Diablos. Okay, so what's the difference between the normal Diablos and a Black Diablos? Now, Black Diablos, okay, to tell you shortly, almost all Diablos is, I hate almost all Diablos because they are fucking annoying, because they love to dig underground and making you like waste your time and stuff like that. Now, why I choose Black Diablos? Because this guy is a fucking pussy and a fucking annoying son of a bitch. Now, when it comes to getting materials out of this dude, most of the equipments really require Diablos' horn. Now, normally Diablos, monoblos as well. I should have put monoblos, but maybe monoblos and Diablos are the same. I might just put monoblos and Diablos together. I mean, who fucking cares? So, Diablos and the Black Diablos is actually really annoying because, like I said, it likes to dig underground and basically loves to wait for an opportunity for you to attack. Now, when it comes to digging underground, you have to be super careful because you don't know when it's gonna strike. Most of the time, Black Diablos, the strike time is really fast. Within 3 seconds, it strikes. But for a non-Diablos, it takes about 6 seconds, then it only strikes. For Black Diablos, it only takes 3 seconds. So you need to time your dodge correctly, but best is to sheath your weapon, run, and then do a flying dodge. Or when it starts to dig, you have to immediately sheath your weapon, run, and then dodge. You need to predict your dodging correctly, and you need to time it also correctly, your dodge as well, because dealing with Black Diablos is super annoying, especially when you want to get the materials. It's also really annoying because it takes a fucking long time for you to understand how Black Diablos work. Now, obviously, Black Diablos is easy when after you know how to counter him and stuff. Now, there are a lot of ways to actually deal with Black Diablos. My favorite weapon to use against his dude is longsword. Dual sword is also possible. But I always like to use dual sword against big giant monsters like Lao Shenlong and other monsters as well. Like Gen Moran is also one of the monsters that I can use dual swords against with that dude. Those giant monsters. I would say that Black Diablos should be used. You can use hammer to actually kind of do this. You can use hammer, longsword, great sword is possible, but there's a lot of chance where you kind of miss your attack, miss your strong attack. The only way to depend on it is you have to basically kind of paralyze this dude, and then perform a massive attack, like a massive charge attack. Lens would be also a good idea. Gun lens is also a good idea. Switch axe is also a good idea. Bow is also I think bow is not really a good idea because maybe bow can, but not so much, because even though you try to dodge the surprise attack, the underground surprise attack will be another issue, where because the range of the underground surprise attack is quite a distant attack, which means even though you try to dodge a few inches away, you still get it because of the horn. The horn actually hits you, so that's one of the issues. So that is Black Diablos here. So onward to the next one, but before we go to Valhalla, I would like to actually show you the most honorable mention that people have put up. So let's start with Gokmazios. Now, Gokmazios is actually a very fun guy to play with, but sometimes he is big, but he's slightly difficult because of the damage and because of the amount of oil it produces. Gokmazios is super deadly. You need to know when to strike, when to attack, and stuff like that, because Gokmazios is not easy to take on. So if you guys are dealing with Gokmazios, let me remind you, this guy, you have to prepare yourself for the worst time, because it's you can actually mostly dodge his attack by going underneath him, but then again, his body, his tail can still get you, so that's the difficult part here. But most of the time, Godmazis to me, it's easy to fight with, so that's how I feel like Godmazis is slightly okay for me. I shouldn't be putting Godmazis into the top 8 list, into the top 9, into one of my tops, but I find it got Mazzius is slightly easy for me to deal with, but for people who are using the wrong equipment, then obviously it will be a slight problem. So, okay, for me, God Mazzius is slightly difficult if you're using the wrong equipment, but like Longsword is slightly fine because I mean Longsword a lot, and also Dual Blade and also Great Swords. I mainly focus more on my bow as well because I like bows. I kind of like guns as well. Dealing with guns on Godmazios is slightly okay, but it's slightly challenging because he has his range attack, because the range attack is slightly a bit of a problem. So onward to the next one, Teostra. From the honorable mention, Teostra. Now Teostra is I would say, yeah, it's difficult to deal with. Now Teostra, if you know how to deal with Lunastra, Teostra will be easy for you, but Teostra is way more offensive than Lunastra. Now, because Teostra, one thing that makes him difficult to deal with is his aura effect. He has this aura effect where he kind of like produces this wave of fire, this amber's wave, where if you go close to him, you lose your life. When you go far away, you can actually kind of recover a little bit, because you lose your green life, but you don't lose your red bar, because that red bar you're able to recover that part, but it's still quite dangerous because you're going to take a long time for you to get out of there, recover, then come back in and strike again. It's super difficult to deal. Now, the weak spot for Teostra is definitely the head. You need to hit the head because the horn part is the weak spot. The head is also the weak spot. The face is also the weak spot. My biggest thing is you need water damage or ice damage, or ice effect or water effect to deal with this dude. He's not really easy. You need a great sword at least to also deal massive damage on the head, so they can stun him and basically disrupt his aura effect, so that he won't produce that kind of aura. So yeah, one thing you can deal with Teostra is guns. Guns are really useful against Teostra. Longsword as well is really useful against Teostra. Bows as well is also really useful to Teostra. Switchblade as well, switch axe as well is also really useful. Great sword, okay. Great sword, you need to know when to time your charge attack to kind of disrupt his aura effect. So using great sword is also quite effective against Teostra. So yeah, that's all for Teostra. Let's go to Zentrios. Now, Zentrios is slightly like another version of Cephalos to me, Cephadrome, and a little bit of what's that water wyvern again? I keep forgetting that water wyvern again. That water jet attack. Now, okay, forget about that. Now, Zentrios is slightly interesting because Zentrios can sometimes be annoying, because he will go down and then recover by creating this ice-looking horn right here, and a proper like an armor on his back. So this is also another issue here when dealing with Zentrios. Now, Zentrios to me is another version of a Diablos as well, because he likes to go underground. So Zentrios to me is absolutely annoying to deal with. But when you get, like I said, when you get the correct weapons, like a switch axe kind of like works most of the time against Zentrios. Lance as well is also really useful. But the only problem is surprise attack. His surprise attack is also another issue. But it's so far this guy is slightly easy to kind of deal with if you know where his weak spot is. Now, I did deal with Zamtrios before. It was quite fun to deal with because um, because I got the proper equipment for myself, and I used a great sword against this dude, and it was really useful. So I think you could stun him by using paralyze, or you can actually kind of stun him by using traps as well. I think shock trap. I think shock trap could work. I never tried shock trap on him before, but maybe shock trap could work on him. So yeah, dealing with Zamtrios when using shock trap is your biggest opportunity to use a massive attack, like a massive stride attack. That's when I like the most, using shock trap and then dealing massive damage with using my great sword. Uh, Guns as well, like light guns or light bow guns, bow or heavy bow guns. Those three range weapons is also possibly very useful against Zamtrios, but the only problem, like I say, is the mobility. Now, if you're using a light gun, it will be useful. It will be okay. If you're using a bow, it's okay. But if you're using a heavy gun, I think it's, to me, maybe try not to. Maybe try not to use the heavy gun against Zamtrios because of the surprise attack. It will be a problem for heavy gun users. So yeah, all right. That is all for the honorable mentions. The three honorable mentions. Let's go back to our most challenging monsters. Again, like I said, right now, as you guys can see, we have Volfok. Now, Volfok is actually a Sky Combat Dragon. I call this guy a Jet Dragon because this dude, oh my god, I played the demo on one of the stores, and I fought against this dude, and my god, it's so terrifying. It's so difficult. It's to the extent where I don't even fucking know how to fight this dude. I don't even know how to deal damage with this dude. I think his tail can be cut off, but his wings is the problem. Now, I had tried against this dude, and I know how to deal with this dude. Now, the only way to deal with this dude is the head, because the head is one of the things that you can actually deal with this guy. Because Great Sword can actually do the trick. Long sword can also do the trick. Bow guns can do the trick. But what else? Bows can also do the trick, but also a little bit risky. Great sword, I already mentioned that. Switch axe can also do the trick. Switch axe, I don't think. No, switch axe. No. Hammer, maybe yes, because maybe hammer is possible. Maybe hammer will be a good effect on Volhawk. But Volhawk is I don't think Volhawk is vulnerable to traps. I think he is not vulnerable to paralyze. I think you have to be really careful. You need to be really careful on how this guy performs, because this guy is based on his speed. Now, he is really quite difficult to go on rage mode, so you're going to spend a lot of time kind of deal with this guy. So it is really difficult to deal with Volhawk when he is on rage mode, because I saw him going on rage mode, and it not only increases his damage, but his way of performing his attack is way faster. His recovery of the attacks is super fast. You need to actually be careful with it. His rage attack is also one of the problems as well. You need to dodge with. But for me, I know how to dodge his attacks because I know when he's gonna perform. So his range attacks is quite predictable. You know when he's gonna perform. He has phase 1 and phase 2. Not including the phase 3, which is the rage mode, not including that. When he goes on normal mode, he has phase 1, phase 2. When he goes on rage mode, he has phase 1, phase 2 as well. But the phase 1, phase 2 is basically his wings turning around, basically performing either a range attack or a blast attack, a ground blast attack. So that's one of the things about Volhawk which makes him super dangerous and super annoying to fight with, because it's really difficult for you to land hits as well because of the amount of movements it makes. So it's super difficult. But if you guys know how to deal with him, make sure to write on the comment section below, because I seriously, until this day, I really don't know how to deal with Valhalla. Super difficult. So hope you guys enjoy. Please give a big thumbs up. Make sure you guys also subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more after 2 weeks time. I hope you guys understand this. So yeah, make sure to write in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think. Give me more honorable mentions so that I can actually give you guys what I think about the monsters is, and basically kind of end it up for the next top 5, top 10 monsters. So guys, join, please give a big thumbs up. I'll be posting more probably 2 weeks, like I said. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.